It was back in October 2017, and I was on holiday in Greece, and I wasn't feeling so good about myself at the time. I was quite overweight, and I would always convince myself that I was okay with that. And my health wasn't great, and I was struggling to do the cycle rides that I wanted to do. Cycling's my main hobby, it's my passion, and I just couldn't do long rides anymore. And I thought about it, and a colleague of mine had been having very good results, and I could see that. And I decided that when I got back from holiday, I would get in touch with Jasmine and see what she had to offer and what we could do. I just decided that life could be better. I wanted to lose weight. I didn't know how. I wanted to get back on the bike. I wanted to be able to do 100-kilometer rides regularly every weekend. And yeah, I just didn't know how to get to that position on my own. And as I said, I had a colleague who was getting very good results. He'd lost a lot of weight. You could see it. He was happier. He looked healthier. And I wanted the same. There's two things that were wrong with me. One was, since birth, I've always had a problem with my tendon being too short in my right leg, which gives me a lot of difficulties and gave me a lot of back pain. The other thing was I suffered a lot from heartburn, which I think was due to diet. But I didn't know this. Doctors hadn't given me any clue of what I should give up to get rid of it. And yeah, I just felt a bit down about my whole health situation at the time. I did try. From the moment I decided I was going to do something about it, I gave up sugar completely. I used to eat a lot of cakes and biscuits and snacks, particularly at work. If it was quiet at work, I would just eat. And used to drink fizzy drinks all of the time. Yeah, so I knew there was room for improvement. I just didn't know what to do myself. So I tried the normal things. When somebody says diet, you think about cut out fatty foods and sugar. And I did that, and it worked a bit. But it wasn't achieving the results I wanted it to. Okay, well, I started with Jasmine in January 2018, and I told her that I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to lose about 15 kilos. I also told her that within a year I wanted to be able to do 100-kilometer cycle rides again. And she said she couldn't promise, but we'd try, and that was good enough for me. I trusted her from the moment we first discussed everything. I was convinced that she understood what I wanted. And originally I was only going to sign up for a trial, but I just decided at that point, no, I'm going to sign up for the year and let's do this. I think the first thing that changed was my attitude, and I think once I decided to do anything, I always see it through. I rarely give up. So I think there was an attitude change to start with, and I was quite positive that however this was going to work, it was going to work. The second thing that changed was my nutrition. Jasmine made a nutrition plan, and I stuck to it absolutely religiously. I did not eat anything that wasn't on it for the first 6 months. And that really worked. I got down to close to my target weight within that 6 months. And yeah, that really gave me sort of enthusiasm to carry on. The other goal was 100-kilometre cycle rides within a year, and that actually came back within 3 months. One day I was just out on my bike. I wasn't intending to do a 100-kilometre ride, but I just felt good and felt stronger and did it. And I was very tired at the end of it, but the sense of achievement was massive. Moving forward, I think the goal was to start enjoying it. I didn't enjoy it for the first year. It was always I've got to go to the gym now. And I didn't particularly look forward to it, but I looked forward to the results. I knew I always felt good afterwards, but I never felt that I wanted to go. And that took a year. And that it was the following January that I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, I actually want to go to the gym. I felt crazy. It's not a feeling I've had in my entire life. Because of the problems I have with my leg. When I was at school, I always used to get ignored in gym class because I was the one that couldn't do it. And whilst my teacher was very good at trying to involve me, he just didn't know how. And yeah, so sport's never been part of my life apart from going out for bike rides, which is the one thing that is not massively affected by my leg problems. Because it doesn't matter if your legs are 2 different lengths when you're riding a bike. You can still pedal. They both legs go round and round. I think everything that we do, I never expect to do. And quite often when I'm told something, when the phrase something new comes out, and it used to fill me with dread, but now it's more like a joke. Sometimes I don't believe I can do it until I try it, but I always want to try it. And if there's a new exercise and I can't do it, I want to keep on trying it until I can do it. So it really has changed my attitude to things. Yes, from where I was 2 years ago and how I was feeling then, and I thought then that I was all right, but my life has completely changed. I'm not over exaggerating that. Yeah, I just want to do things all the time now, whereas before I'd quite happily sit on the sofa and just do nothing, just watch TV. Now, if the weather's good, I don't want to be inside. I want to hike, or I want to ride my bike, or even just walk into Zürich to do my shopping instead of catching public transport. I generally walk home from work, which is 9 kilometers. So yeah, life is very different and it's a lot better. I enjoy it a lot more. There's been a few reactions. The first one was very soon after I started, and some friends came over from the UK and we went walking in the mountains, which they used to live in Switzerland but had moved back to the UK. So they came out to go walking in the mountains, and I went and met them for a day. And their first reaction was when I started marching off up a fairly steep hill, and they weren't used to that from me. And the reaction was, oh, we'll go at David's pace, don't hurry. And now it was, wait for us. And the second point was we sat down for lunch, and I ordered chicken, and the person serving said, do you want fries or a fitness teller? And I paused because I would normally have asked for fries, and I realized I actually wanted the fitness teller. So I ordered that and they just looked at me and said, "You've changed." My family hadn't seen me for, well, a year almost since I started. I went back to the family reunion and that was quite a shock to some of them. It was very embarrassing. We were in a fairly busy restaurant and I walked in and they just looked at me and couldn't believe it was me. I was considerably thinner than the last time they saw me. And yes, it was a very good reaction and it really made me feel good about myself. So I was very happy with that. And then at Christmas, there's another nice thing from my family when I opened my present, and it was a pullover in size small. A year before that, I'd been wearing an extra large, and I looked at the size and I thought that's never going to fit, and was quite happy when it did. And yeah, my stepmother just said, "Well, we looked at the size of you and we thought that was the right ones." No, I've never wanted to stop. In the first year, there were times when I could quite happily have phoned up and said, "I don't feel like it today." But as I said already, I really liked the results that I was getting. So even if I didn't want to go to the gym, I wanted the result of going to the gym. And you can't have both. So I always went to the gym. I missed one through actually being really quite ill. And other than that, I haven't missed out. And no, there's been individual things where I thought I was at my limit, only to find the following week that I could go beyond it. So when I've had that thought, I've been wrong. Yeah, it's really different now. Before, I would never give up when I wanted something. I would always try to achieve it. But I would never push myself out of my comfort zone willingly. Whereas now, if I'm given a new exercise to do, I actually want to try it and see if I can do it. Quite often, I'll just give the reaction, "I'll try." And maybe there's been one or two things that I haven't been able to do instantly, or haven't had success with instantly. But I think nearly all of those I can do now. So it's worth not giving up. But I'd also say it's worth trying it in the first place. I had some experience from a colleague, and I knew that if it could work for him, it could definitely work for me. So that gave me confidence, but the first meeting I had with Jasmine also gave me a lot of confidence. I'd filled in a questionnaire beforehand and sent a lot of details about the situation with my leg, and she already had a lot of ideas when I first met her, and I instantly felt trust. I know pretty quickly when I meet somebody whether they're the right person or not. And I would say within 30 minutes, I was convinced Jasmine was the right person. I'm very happy with the results that I'm getting. As I've said before, I couldn't cycle a great distance without feeling exhausted. And now I can cycle 100 kilometers whenever I want. If I wake up in the morning and I feel like I want to go for a ride, I can go for that ride. Yeah, so that makes me happy. But in terms of the actual training, after that first year, I realised that it really was working and that I really actually enjoyed it. And so I started attending twice a week rather than just the once. And the results have just been getting better. And I look forward to trying to do something better, or lift a heavier weight, or do more reps every time. And I don't think there's been a session this year when there hasn't been some new achievement. So that motivates me to continue, because it's to keep improving and improving and improving. Something's working. The other aspect is the core therapy sessions, and they've really helped. My posture was really bad, again, because I'd grown up. I was 50 years old when I started, and that 50 years, my spine had been growing in the wrong directions, and I was getting lots of back pain. The core therapy sessions have really helped in straightening me out, as well as the workouts. And I've come to really appreciate them, and feel that they really help once a month. And my posture, particularly when I'm standing up, is greatly improved. In the last 2 years, I've only had back pain once, whereas previous to that, it was almost continuous. No, I didn't expect that. I thought there would be times when I pushed myself too much and I would hurt my back, but it hasn't happened. And when I did hurt my back, it was the silliest thing, reaching to get a can of vegetables out of the cupboard. It was nothing to do with training. I think you've got to want to change. There's no point doing it just because you feel you should. But if you want to change, then try it. Because if you can go into it even just hoping it's going to work, then I'm pretty sure that it will for most people. If it can work for me, after 50 years of my body growing in the wrong directions and being really quite painful at times, to having very little pain, being the correct weight, having a lot less sickness, then I think it can work for anyone. And after the initial shock to the body, it does become enjoyable. It took me a while, but I really do enjoy it now. And if for some reason I can't attend because of holidays or things like that, I get really grumpy. Yeah, there's a few things. The first one, which gives me the greatest happiness, is cycling last year. I set no goal at all, other than just to enjoy it, and cycled over 5,000 kilometers in the year, which is averaging a 100-kilometer ride every week, which I was very happy about. One thing that cost a lot of money, but I'm also happy about, was having to replace my entire wardrobe. It was all just too big. And for the first 3 months, I could live with that. But then I started getting strange looks at work. People hinting, "You've lost a lot of weight." And I just had to replace everything. But that was nice in a way, because it was like a fresh start. There's other things. When I was at school, I used to get told off a lot, because when we were in assembly or in groups, we were told to sit with our legs crossed, and I just couldn't do it, even from a very young age, because of my back and leg issues, and the school were just not accepting of that. But now I can just about sit cross-legged. I just discovered one day I could do it. I just sat down on the floor and realized I could do it. And I could never get up off the floor putting pressure on my right leg, and now I can. So lots of things have changed. There's so many different things, I couldn't list them all. But I'll keep going with it. I do allow myself treats, but only when I've earned them. The treat is 90% of the time is a carrot cake. I love carrot cake. Carrot cake and cycling go together as far as I'm concerned. So the rule is I can have a treat after a good gym session if I've done something better, if I've walked 10 kilometers, or if I've cycled 50 kilometers. Otherwise, it's sticking to the nutrition plan, which I still keep to 95% of the time. There's some days when you just want to eat something else, and I do now. But yeah, for the most part, it's not difficult. It's my tastes have changed, but that's what I want to eat now, because that's what my body expects. I think that's where it's easier living in Switzerland than in the UK, because a lot of the things that I used to love to eat, I can't get here. But also my tastes have changed so that I actually enjoy the things that I'm supposed to eat now. And I found that I actually don't want to eat the things that I used to think that I wanted. I used to want sweet things all of the time. And living in a country where the chocolate is so nice could be quite difficult, especially when you can buy it at work. But one of the suggested things was, for a snack, try nuts rather than sweets or chocolate, which I thought was a stupid idea because I didn't like nuts, but I tried it and I found I really like nuts now. A good example was my favorite dessert, because I used to have desserts all the time, was ice cream with raspberries, which I don't eat so much anymore because Jasmine came up with the idea of quark and raspberries for breakfast. And whilst I didn't like the flavour of quark to start with, I found that if you put some vanilla flavour with it, it tasted exactly like ice cream and raspberries. So now I get my favourite dessert every morning, and it's healthy.
That's a jackpot.
It's a win. There's the whole thing, just the basics for me. The three basics are the nutrition plan, the workouts, and the core therapy. And just those three things put together have made a huge difference. But also, just talking with Jasmine makes a big difference as well. She's like a strange kind of friend that's occasionally going to hurt you, is always going to be honest with you, but you trust that she's doing it for your own good. And I've really appreciated that. I've given a lot of words new definitions, like okay. Used just to mean, yeah, it's okay. But now it's, yeah, that might be hurting a little bit, but it's okay. And yeah, it has become fun. And I would say my whole outlook on life now is is changed, and Empower Station is part of that change. If you took that out of my life now, it would leave a massive hole. And I don't know how I would replace it.